Hello, everyone. Happy Pride Month. You've seen the title, you know what we're talking about today. I'm not the first person to talk about this by any means, but I still feel like sharing my experience here. My name is Bet. I'm a trans mask artist. I'm working on a queer sci fi comic right now, and I used to self identify as a Fujoshi in high school. In general, I love seeing people talk about their closet experience from when they didn't know they were trans. It's so fun to see all of these similarities between people. There are the obvious ones, like, I always hated wearing dresses, I always hated makeup. That's not relatable to me. I love dressing up and doing my makeup. I'm a little fanboy, so yeah. And then there are like the behavioral signs, kind of. For example, being a bit of a pygmy girl, I hate that term, honestly. It's meant to describe girls who really try to be friends with boys, trying really hard to be accepted by them and into their group, their social circle, kind of. And wanting to be seen as more of a guy and putting other girls down with that, being super critical of makeup and anything feminine in general. Or reading manga about two men being like really like, which then makes sense when they come out as trans later. They wanted to be seen as a guy, so they were hanging out with the guys and kind of trying to have a male childhood with all the video games, the not cleaning your room, which is all a bunch of stereotypes, of course, but these are always heavily influenced by the guys you're surrounded with, the people you go to school with. You try acting like them because it feels comfortable to you, and being seen as a woman kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, but you don't realize it in that moment. And yes, I'm speaking from experience. And the guys in my class were really into anime when I was like 14, 15, 13, which led me to discover anime. And I really started loving a lot of these stories. I've always been big into stories, like, which is why it makes sense that I started writing my own at some point. But then I got into a relationship with one of these guys and always used to go to the bookstore with him and his sister. One day she just hands me a manga and is like, hey, maybe you'll like that. It was actually a really low entrance point. Like, it was a really sweet story. It was Only the Flower Knows. I'm not too sure if that's like really well known or something, but it's a totally sweet story. At least as far as I remember. Maybe I should look back into it before I say that. I don't remember actually, I take it back. I don't know anymore. But I got totally hooked on that. I started reading more and more yaoi. At some point I also started reading webcomics and manhwa. Yeah, stuff happened. Then again, the reason a lot of closeted trans guys are into that kind of stuff is that they are a little gay and feel a lot more comfortable reading romance and sex scenes when they get to imagine themselves in a guy's perspective. Now, what all of these little quirks have in common is that girls are made fun of for them like a lot. And it's even criticized by a lot of queer people I've talked to, like saying it's the same as straight men watching lesbian porn and that it's disgusting and fetishizing, which is also the reason Fujoshi is kind of a bad word in most places on the internet, honestly. And I'm not saying people can do whatever the hell they want because they might be trans. In general, I want to make really clear that this is not an invitation to assume anyone is trans because they act like that. I'm saying, and hear me out now, I'm not head of the committee of queers. I can't give you a quote unquote pass here because there is no pass. It's just the kind of content you consume. It's a personal decision that no matter what decision you make, someone's always gonna be mad at you for it, make fun of you for it. It's just statistics, I guess. But, and again, just my opinion, but I don't give a fuck about either one. If you're a cis person, you can watch lesbian porn. I mean, we're not saying anything against straight women watching lesbian porn because they're a woman. I feel like that should be the same, honestly. But if you ask me, if you're into that kind of stuff, just read it. And with every bit of discourse about this pipeline, I always see people in the comment section commenting stuff like, oh my god, I felt so bad in high school. I thought I was fetishizing gay people. Like, I was so ashamed. Oh my god. I feel like people are so happy that they don't need to feel bad about themselves anymore about that. And they're like, oh, but these cis bitches, yeah, they should feel bad about themselves for that. Like, they suck. I don't suck anymore. Like, calm down, my man. Being trans doesn't make you a better person. If you're into that type of stuff, just do it. I don't know a single queer person who only looks at romance genre content when it's about their specific sexuality and gender. For some of us, that would really narrow it down. Just as long as you can separate that from real life. I know there's a lot of men who are really into lesbian porn, and then when a woman rejects them, says, oh, I'm not really into guys, like, so that's not gonna happen, and they instantly go, oh my god, you're a lesbian, that's so hot, let's have a threesome. No, if someone's a lesbian, they're not into you. That's not how that works. And of course, that phenomenon also appears with Fujoshis, who are really weird to gay men, start following people around who are like holding hands and shit. That is fucking weird. Don't do that. You are looking at art, you are looking at stories. You have to have the ability to separate that from real life, which is a dying skill nowadays, I feel like. But a thing we can always criticize and talk about is the way that some of these stories infantilize gay people, or making the lesbian sex in the porn really in a way that men want to watch it. There are some queer run porn studios, I believe, who also really put an emphasis on making sure that people are safe and people are comfortable there, and that the sex is realistic and doesn't set any dumb standards that make no sense. What I'm saying is we can always criticize the content and the way it influences people's way to think. In my opinion, we're not getting anywhere by giving shit to the people who consume this content. Not only because they might turn out to be trans one day, but my theory about why so many women are into boys love and yaoi is that it feels safer imagining yourself in these scenarios without the pressures of feeling forced into the very same gender roles they encounter in real life every day. The roles they probably feel bound to in their relationships with men as well. And just my question to the queer people who think like that, what are we gaining by trying to take that away from them? Which reminds me again of the little detour I did in the beginning of the video on Pick Me Girls. Can we please stop making fun of children who are obviously really uncomfortable with their gender roles? Yes, these kids always have a lot of internalized misogyny and shit on women, but ultimately they just want to be free of that as well. They just don't have these concepts of the way that's baked into society yet. Or some people may never realize that actually, and they are suffering from that just as much as everyone is suffering from the patriarchy. And I don't think more bullying is going to help with that. I'm just saying. I always see people making videos of like the pick me girl in my class POV on TikTok. And then I look at that and I'm just like, oh, yeah. I am genuinely so sorry for everyone who's going through that right now. Anyways, that was my little story about how I was weird in high school. It got even weirder now as an adult. Just take care of yourself, be proud to be cringe, go cuddle up with your cat, a warm cup of tea, and killing stalking on your phone. I don't know, do what you want. I'm honestly curious about your opinion about this. Maybe you think I'm wrong, feel free to tell me in the comment section. And if you enjoyed that video, consider leaving a follow. I basically talk about art, fandom, and queer stuff. But that's it for today. Have a lovely day.